wanted to talk about the Texans and David Johnson. If David Johnson is right, if he's healthy, is this the most dynamic backfield that the Texans have had since the Arian Foster, Ben Tate days?
I think it pretty much is. I mean, I think there's a couple guys that had one season here or there that you could say, hey, they could be considered top five. But if David Johnson can regain the form that he had 3 or 4 years ago and be that dynamic pass catcher out of the backfield, as well as an every down back that can carry the football, and then you can get the versatility of a Duke Johnson, sure. But there's a lot of ifs and a lot of question marks. So on paper, it looks like it could be pretty good. But until we see what David Johnson you're getting, I don't know that you can really definitively answer that question.
I think if you're getting David Johnson at his best, what he was 3-4 years ago, you're probably even better than you were with Arian Foster and Ben Tate, because David Johnson's best seasons were better than Arian Foster's best seasons. The problem is it's so far removed, and he's getting into that age of running backs, that 29, 30-year-old range, where the likelihood of him finding that form again gets slimmer and slimmer every year. We saw Arian Foster, his last even decent year was his 28-year-old season. It falls off fast after that. I would expect that to be the case still with David Johnson, who didn't even get as many prime years as Arian Foster did.
Yeah, I think the other thing, too, when you're looking at David Johnson, is you're hoping that a fresh start does him good. He's talking about can't wait to get to Texas. I need to buy a pickup truck. I really want to fit in. So maybe a new opportunity. It could be his last chance, as you said, based on his age and all the other factors and the question marks about his injury. But maybe he comes out with something to prove and comes out and says, hey, they made a commitment to come get me and took a chance. I'm going to do everything that I can to have that resurrected season that everybody thinks right now is probably they're skeptical about at best. But I think that's best case scenario if you're Bill O'Brien and the Texans.
My concern would be that this is a guy who got benched in Arizona. He was, second, third highest paid player on their team. They benched him last season when they had every reason to try and play him. Obviously, it's a bad football team. The fact that they let him squander away that money and that season on the bench is a little bit alarming to me. It makes me think that there's just not much left on this guy. How do you think that this, David Johnson and Duke Johnson both being solid pass catching backs, how do you think that impacts what the Texans do offensively?
Well, I think the big thing is Deshaun Watson, obviously, when you lose someone as dynamic as DeAndre Hopkins, you're going to look for every weapon you could possibly, throw to. I think having options out of the backfield, whether it be wheel routes or bailouts, because we know that he's going to get rushed and he's going to need guys to drop the ball off to. At least you have two guys on paper that from a versatility and pass catching standpoint have proven that they can get you yards out of the backfield catching the football, and they're experienced doing it and they're reliable in doing so. But again, AJ, we go back to what we just said before, and that is reliability is one thing, but based on health. And Duke Johnson's fine, and he had a good year last year, and you expect him to do the same. David Johnson's that question mark, because you can't just say, well, they're going to be better and they're going to be so dynamic because he proved in Arizona he could do that. He also proved he could get hurt. And then, as you mentioned, he proved he could get benched, and you don't know if he can bounce back from that.